Welcome to Cuelist Tutorials. In this tutorial, we're going to look at the concept of assigning roles. In the last tutorial, we looked at how, as the owner, you can assign layer permissions to any of your paid collaborators. But there's another way for your collaborators to gain access to Cuelist features, and we're going to look at that today. It starts again in the same way by going up to the collaborators menu. When you choose a collaborator and you click the down arrow, we're going to see two options. Now, we've already looked at the layer permissions option. This time we're going to look at the collaborator access option. So I'm going to press that and I'm going to get a pop-up for collaborator access. Now, if your collaborator has an unpaid free observer account, the only option will be to remove the collaborator from the project. And if you press that, the collaborator will be kicked out of your project. But if your collaborator is a paid user, you're going to see this pop-up where they have three options as well as removing the collaborator. Now, you can continue to remove a paid collaborator from a project if you are the project owner. But let's go over the three types of collaborator access options. The first is the standard member option, and that's the option that your collaborators will be automatically granted when they join your project. Members can create layers, they can add cues and notes to those layers. They cannot grant themselves access to layers in which they don't have access, so they will only be able to get permissions on layers if you, as the administrator or the owner, grant them permissions on existing layers. But any layer that they create, they will have edit access. They cannot alter the script, they cannot delete history snapshots, and they cannot change collaborator access or remove other collaborators. Now, the second, much more powerful level of access is the administrator access. And really, an administrator has access to the entire project. The only thing they can't do is delete the project. So they can change the PDF, they can turn other paid members into administrators, and they can remove other members from a project. Basically, administrators have exactly the same access as owners, except they can't delete a project. So you want to be careful about who you're granting administrator access to. The final option is transferring ownership. And if you transfer ownership, you can only have one owner on any project. So if you transfer ownership, you will become an administrator on a project, and the person you've transferred ownership to will immediately take ownership of the project. That means that you cannot get back ownership unless they grant it to you. So take your time and choose wisely when you make that choice. Now, one thing that I wanted to show you about your administrator access is that when I change the access of a user to an administrator, they will not automatically have access to every layer. Instead, they will go into their collaborator access and choose the layer permissions that they want to grant themselves. So just changing them to administrator doesn't automatically grant them access. They will instead have to go in and grant themselves the permissions to edit any layers that they like. But they can do that at any time, and they can do it with any layer. So that's important to know. Okay, that's it for our discussion of assigning roles. Thanks for listening.